Does college equals success? That's the topic for today's episode, and without further ado, let's dive in. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. For those who are tuning in for the first time, this is your channel for real estate education. So today's topic, it's going to be a little bit different than the usual content that I've been preparing so far, and it's going to be all about college. The reason why I decided to create this episode is because I have subscribers from all kinds of different backgrounds. So I wanted to create something to kind of like help you depict that, hey, maybe you did go to college, great, and you're successful, but if you didn't, you can still be successful. And just to tell you a little bit about where I'm actually coming from, some of you might know at this point that I was actually raised by Chinese parents. I grew up in South America, and here is the thing between my parents and I, right? So my dad didn't go to college. In fact, my dad barely finished elementary school, and he's a very successful man. My mom, she managed to finish high school, but she did not go to college, and she is also a very well-fulfilled and very successful woman. And myself, I did go to college. I have the luxury of going to college, as my parents will say, and I even have a master's. I like to consider myself to be successful, but I wouldn't like to compare myself with anyone else out there, because I think success has to be defined based on what you're looking for, right? So the reason why I wanted to bring up college is because everyone seems to be putting a big weight onto it. If you go to college, you're going to do this. If you go to college, you're going to do that, right? So I want to just sort of like take a step back and see what is truly the meaning of success, and can really college help you get there, right? And should you even invest in your education to that extent, right? So we have, let's say, for example, the meaning of college, right? And then my parents or our family thought, well, if you go to college, you can achieve a certain thing, a certain lifestyle. So does that really guarantee that you're going to be successful in life, right? So first of all, let's just truly define what success is. Success, it's so vague. I think that will be the term. It's so vague because each and one of us have different definitions to what we like to call success. For example, for my parents, a person who was successful, it's someone who gets to bring food to the table, someone who can actually become responsible for other human beings and make sure that they're very well fed and that they had a roof on top of their heads. That was my parents' definition of success. My definition of success was someone who can actually propel themselves going forward without the need of having their parents having to provide for them financially. That was my definition of success, mainly because of my background, because my family was a bit more traditional. Women didn't really get to do certain things, and I wanted to basically challenge all of that belief. I wanted to challenge everything. So in essence, success is up to you. I think where most of us tend to make a mistake, or most of us tend to fail, is that we put a lot of weight in college. Poor college, if you come to think of it, right? College seems to be the one thing, the one solution that everyone should be aiming for. And in reality, that is not true. If you come to think of it, when we were little, a lot of our parents, right, used to say, if you go to college, you'll find a nice job. If you go to college, you'll be successful in life. If you want to be somebody, you have to go to college, right? And now, based on everything you've seen in social media, everything you've seen around, that is in fact not a guarantee. I definitely did not come from a very traditional family, if you come to think of it, because none of my parents went to college. So what is it that happens? Depending on your background, a lot of our parents perhaps didn't even go to college as well. And it's like this whole idea about how grandiose the school is, like how much weight do they really have in life. And in reality, college cannot really do much in and itself, because let's say you have a human being right here, right? And yes, you go to college, you learned to read, you learned about math and all of these stuff that, you know, get to learn in school, maybe a bit of science, because this is going to slowly help you discover yourself. What is it that you like to do? What is it that you enjoy doing? What is it that you're good at doing, right? Because the fact that, let's say, for example, you like art doesn't mean you're good at it. For example, I used to love art, but I sucked at it. I had no creativity whatsoever. I was more of like a facts person. I like to, I wouldn't say math, but I like to figure stuff out. I'm not sure if that entirely will fall within the category of science or perhaps the category of math, but that's just factual stuff. But in reality, building a human being takes a whole other component. It takes parents to make that happen. It takes self-esteem, right? Which in essence comes from your parents and your surroundings, perhaps some of your friends, or some of family members that are around you, and then slowly they will build your skill set that you will need in order for you to make it into this institution that means college. But what happens when you make it into college? You're sort of like lost in translation, lost in the whole dynamic. You're starting off a new life and things become very stressful because you're going from living with your parents and all of a sudden you are in an institution, you're in school, and you have to sort of like do your own laundry and learn about being an adult and stuff like that. And what happens is that in our brains, we're sort of falling into that sense of entitlement already, because we were told that if you go to college, that means your life is going to be better. Your life is going to, I don't know, unfold itself. And in reality, college is just a stepping stone. You're just getting your feet wet. You're trying to discover yourself even more, as opposed to high school, as opposed to elementary school. And things do not get any easier as you progress through college or as you leave college. College is just basically a way for you to sort of like help yourself figure out problems. It's not about getting the good grades. At least I didn't get a lot of good grades. It was more about, okay, I need to get from point A to point B. How am I gonna get there? I don't know, but I better figure it out. And unfortunately, the way the educational system has been set up is that you have to give one answer in specific. You have to do things a certain way. And on top of that, we have the expectations that were sort of like ingrained from our parents. And we wind up thinking that, hey, by the time you graduate from college, life is going to be so much easier and you're going to get all of these job offers coming or falling down the sky because people are going to be fighting for you and yada yada and yada yada. And in reality that is not true. That is not true at all. How many people do you know that actually went to college and they actually exercised their degree and they did something, right? So in essence, what college does is that it prepares you to take the next step, but it will still be entirely up to you to want to become successful or not. So let's take an example, something as complex as choosing your major, right? So nobody told us, okay, if you take this career, this is what you should do. Or if you decide to study this career and go this route, this is what you should do. So let's just pick two majors that are the complete opposite of one another and show you that it is still completely up to you to decide whether you want to succeed or fail in that career or in that major that you select. So let's say, for example, we have, again, two complete different majors here. Let's say somebody decided to study accounting because, you know, that seems to be the favorite major of people who want to go for something that is safe, that is secure, whatever. And then something that is extremely unstable. Let's say, let's just pick art history or something like that. If you come to think of it, right? When you're little and you thought of, oh, I want to be an artist, or am I going to tell my parents that I want to be an artist? The first thing that you'll probably hear is somebody having a heart attack, right? Somebody thinking, oh my God, is this girl crazy? Why would she even do that? She's gonna get stuck with like $80,000 worth of college loan, college education and stuff like that. So let's just say bad choice, right? That's the equivalent. That's what a lot of people think. This is a bad choice. But then if you go for accounting, man, that's going to be boring. But you know what? I'm going to graduate. I'm going to make sure that by the time I graduate, I will have a job, because it's all about being able to pay for the bills and be able to provide and yada yada and all of those good stuff, right? So that in essence, it's going to translate into a good choice. Now, if you come to think of it, there's nothing that truly says this is a bad choice or this is a good choice, because once again, it is entirely up to you. You could go by the accounting route, but if you're horrible at it or if you're miserable at it, it's something that it's not going to sustain itself. You're not going to last very long because you hate it. Who wants to wake up every day and feel miserable, right? But then if you want to go the history route, hey, maybe I love it. I love it so much. I'm creative, but at the same time, I don't want to be broke all the time. And guys, I know it sounds a little lengthy at this point, but trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. That's kind of like the negative connotation that people tend to think about this. And in reality, the real truth to this is that your success will only depend on whether you have a business lens towards something. So it is dependent upon you, but it is also depending whether you have a business mindset to make all of this happen, right? And that's something that everybody, including our parents, fails to teach us, right? Because it's just simply easier to shift that responsibility to college. Again, like I said, poor college, right? Everyone just, hey, if you go to college, you'll figure it out. Parents, if you go to college, you figure it out. Why? Because my parents did the same thing. They've never been to college. And they just simply thought, well, college must be this, grandiose thing that if I sent my daughter, she's going to come out really bright and extremely smart. And believe me, that wasn't the case. I wasn't any smarter or brighter than anybody else. I just simply figure out ways to make things happen. It didn't mean that I got all the good grades or that I was top of the class. I just simply struggle. I went through some struggles and I figured out a different way to make things happen. So back to the sport, having a business mindset is what's really gonna get you to that success part. So for example, let's just start with art history, right? Which is a highly unstable major, highly unlikely that you will success. But if you have a business mindset, guess what you could do with it? So let's say, for example, if you were to think with a business mindset, then you could work for a art gallery, right? You can do all of those private auctions. You can make money based on commission on pieces of art that are worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, because, hey, before you can even auction them, because you can even give those pieces of art a value, right? You need to understand what the art is about. You need to know what year was it created from, what type of brushstroke, whatever artistic thing that goes into the whole equation. You need to understand all of that. But unfortunately, no one has taught us to be that way. So the result, you get stuck with a 4-year degree and maybe $120,000 worth of student loans and everything like that, and no clue how you're even gonna repay all of that back. But if someone actually ever thought about stopping you and helping you think, hey, you have to get this business mindset, you have to make things happen. And how do you get into that business mindset? By networking, right? You join different clubs in school, and not only the art club, but you also sort of like want to diversify your connections, right? If you want to make money with art, guess what are you going to do? You need to just basically go into a business networking event, somebody who goes to business school, someone who understands how to do accounting or finances, because that's going to help you basically just connect the dots, right? I have this skill set that is very unique, right? I understand everything about art. How can I make money off of it? Oh, so let's just work for an art gallery. Let's just work for these boutique architectural firms, these boutiques who are looking for internal designers, internal decorators that are decorating all of these brand new buildings that are luxurious in Wall Street for all of these private equity firms and yada yada. That's how you sort of like make the connection. Same thing here with accounting. Accounting doesn't have to be such a boring subject. You don't have to get stuck in an office working 9 to 5 and becoming miserable. Let's say you decide to go into one of these boutique firms to work with real estate investors. Then you get access to all of this real estate information for those who are interested in real estate investing. And then all of a sudden you're realizing that, hey, accounting can help you save a lot more money than you thought, and it is a lot more interesting than you ever thought of. I mean, I was one of those students who hated accounting. I hated accounting with my life, and now I'm realizing that this subject in itself is so interesting because as a real estate investor today, I am learning about all of these tax write-offs. I'm learning how to keep money in house. I'm learning about all of these good stuff, how to take advantage of the tax code, how to do a 1031 exchange for all of my investments. These are not the typical things that you will typically learn about in school because they just simply don't teach it to you. You don't know it's out there. So therefore, how do you make the connection to make things happen? So the reason why I created this episode is to help you if you are a young kid looking to pick a degree or maybe thinking about drop out of college and stuff like that just to pursue real estate full time or pursue your business, or even for parents who want to send their kids off to school and just wants to push them to go to school for the sake of going to school. There's no right or wrong answer. I think the whole idea here is if your child or if you're watching this video, are trying to pick a major and you're undecided, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, okay, how do I make a living out of this? Trust me, you can make a living out of pretty much anything. It's more about a way for you to figure it out how to do it. How can I make this happen? And this whole thing happened because of a mentee of mine. She was actually the one who introduced me to the whole art auctioning thing. She is actually a business major and she's doing a minor in art history. Both of her parents are artists from China. They create art and they basically go all over the world auctioning the art. They pick the art, they select art, and they are entirely immersed in the whole art trading business. So I think it's more of a guidance. It doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be more or less successful than others. I think the bottom line is you need to ask yourself, is this the right route I want to go? Because you'd be amazed. I'm pretty sure you know of somebody, or you might even interact with somebody who has the entitled mentality. Someone who is working with you and thinks, oh, because I have a college degree, my life sucks because I was promised that my college degree was going to open a lot of doors and make things happen and find this and find that. And in reality, I'm stuck in this, boring 9-to-5 job and I'm miserable with my own life. And that's just simply the mentality of someone who doesn't want to grow. And just to share you a little bit about my personal experience, I graduated in the middle of 2008, 2009. It was the worst year to ever graduate. I graduated right in the middle of the financial crisis. And if I were to tell you for how long I stayed unemployed and the number of resumes I was sending out every single day. So it took me 2 years after I graduated from college to find a real job, a job that was actually related to my field of study. So you do that 2 years, right? And then every single day I was sending on average 25 to 30 resumes. We're talking 25 to 30 resumes a day. And then on a good day, let's say on a day that I was extremely depressed, on a day that I had nothing to do whatsoever, I will send out on average 50. So you do the math. So let's just pick 30 because it's just an easier number. 3 times 7, that's 210 resumes every single week. And if you were to multiply 210 times 4, because in 1 month you have 4 weeks, that means I was sending out on average 840 resumes every single month. I sent out 840 resumes every single month for a period of 2 years. And guess what? Out of those 840, I got maybe 10 calls. 10 calls. Look at the stats. 10 calls. Right? That's a little over 1%. I got 10 calls, and out of those 10 calls, I managed to nail the interview down all the way until the end on 3 different interviews. And that 3 interviews, those 3 interviews that you see there, only one of them I wind up getting a job offer. So this is just a true testament that college does not guarantee your success, but it's up to you to decide whether you want to give up or not, whether you have that business mindset, whether you have that thirst to want to propel yourself to move forward. Having the degree is not going to guarantee that you're going to be successful or that you're going to have jobs lined up for you. I graduated from a very good school, and instead I still needed to hustle or fight my way through in order to go from 840 resumes to 10 calls to 3 interviews that I narrowed down, all the way down to just 1 offer. And so regarding the whole 10-3-1 ratio, right, now that we have a clean board, so I was talking about 840 resumes that I was sending out every single month, times, 12 times 2 years. So you get the math right here. But then at the end, out of all of these, right, I ended up with 10 calls, only 10 calls. And that led to 3 interviews that I made it all the way towards the end, and only 1 of them became an actual job offer. Why am I bringing this up? The same thing happens in real estate, right? The same thing, you can look at thousands and thousands and thousands of houses out there, and only very few will only make it to the final line because they have to meet your investment criteria. They have to meet the right houses. Guys, you have no idea how many times I've heard the whole saying, well, I cannot invest in my hometown because it's so expensive. I cannot buy any properties right now because they are so expensive. The economy, it's going all the way up. No, guys. Let's just take a step back. They are possibilities, but are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to think about things with that business mindset? Are you willing to kind of like find your way through to make things happen? It's the same analogy. You can analyze 1,000 houses, and out of the 1,000 houses, only 10 are going to be worth it. And out of all of those 10 houses that are worth it, only 3 of those are going to maybe consider your offer, and maybe only 1 of them are going to make it all the way towards the end. And before I continue talking with this class, just snap the like button. Do not forget to hit like if you are enjoying the content that I'm creating right now. So back to this whole idea of the numbers. It's a numbers game, and it's not just real estate. Life in itself, it's a numbers game, right? So yes, college does not guarantee something, but hey, going to college does open a lot of doors. Same thing with your knowledge regarding real estate, right? You can go to networking events, you can meet people, you can actually read a lot of books, you can pay for a program and learn all there is about real estate investing. But in the end, it is entirely up to you. How much work are you willing to put into it to make it work? Things are not going to just simply fall from the sky and happen. So don't blame college, don't blame the houses, don't blame the market. It is entirely up to you to make things happen for you. So in essence, in a nutshell, whether you decide to quit school to pursue real estate, which I don't recommend you to do, but if you do, only you know very well that you can do it. Or if you decide to go to college and you're not entirely sure if you're going to be successful, or if you plan to just send your kid off to college, but you have no idea how to guide your child because maybe you weren't exposed to it, don't feel bad. Just simply think, what can you make out of it? Think about creative ways to make a living out of it. If you have an art history degree, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to wind up being broke in the street, or that you're going to wind up teaching in a university, not really fulfilling your degree. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. But if that's not what you want to do, there are other options out there. It's just all about how you can actually think creatively. And if you don't know how to, just simply try to network with people. But don't network with just anybody. Network with the right people. So I'm going to leave a link down here below for a website that it's called meetup.com. And in meetup.com, you can find so many people that are going to give you the opportunity to network, whether inside of school or even outside of school. There are plenty of clubs if you're currently in college, but if you're past this stage and you feel that you didn't really do much with your degree and you want to find a new way to network, to maybe do something that is very well worth it, then you can pursue other interests, other areas that can help you expand what you know, what your skill set is, and everything. It's going to help you get to that end goal that you're looking for. Remember, real estate is a relationship business. Just like in any other business, it's not just in real estate, your career and everywhere, you need people, you depend on people. Even big companies like Facebook and Google, they're built by people, they're backed by a face behind it. So it's all a matter of how you want to make things happen, how do you pursue it. But don't put that weight on college, don't have unreasonable expectations from college in and itself, because it is entirely up to you. It is about how you can make things happen. And if one route doesn't work out, then try to explore another one, then explore another one until you get to that end goal that you're looking to achieve. So that's it. That's all I have for today. I know it's very different than the content I usually create, but I've got such a positive feedback from everyone who has watched my other video about mindset and how to be successful in real estate that I decided to create one to complement that. And this one is about college and the way it could have in your future success. So that's it. That's all I have. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Leave me a comment down below to let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.